Okay, this is Anshar TV News. The Anshar are another branch of humanity in a different timeline explained to us by Corey Good, who is Sphere Being Alliance on YouTube. Okay, so this is how we're going to try and get everybody off Humphrey, get everybody out of karmic traps. Well, because we have to think on the fly, and we have to drop all the old stories but use them when we need to, because we got to keep building new stories so that we can bring everybody into 5D Earth. So Fat Tony Salerno, I got to rescue that guy from his karmic trap of being, Tony Soprano, John Gotti, Al Capone, etc., etc. And because it's my job, because I'm tasked with saving dragons, the worst dragons, the worst. I gotta go and read. I gotta do some. I gotta raise some dead dragons. Me. I told you I'm the warlock. See my previous video where I describe how I'm the warlock, but I am. So, but because warlocks raise the dead, necromancers, yes. So I have to go and the dragons that St. George killed in England, I got to go and raise those dragons. You can't kill dragons. I mean, it's a horrific crime. I know they were horrible, and it was just because everybody's horrible, and the collective consciousness on the planet was at 90. Terrible. Anyway, that's why everything was horrible. So anyway, for Fat Tony, well, this is the deal. Okay, it's got to go through back channel. It's going through, I can already hear it. It's gone through, you understand from spy novels that back channel means you don't actually talk about it in the open. It goes through back channels so that it's just something that they do. So you can get information another way besides on the phone or face to face. Sometimes you got to get information to people through a whole chain of other people in order to get it to them, because they've got to get this information. Anyways, I tried that with Hector Dougal, and he's like, I don't know, too stubborn. He's the most stubborn Scot, because he's the most strange combination. He's got Scottish in him, and it's Scottish laird. So the lairds, the lairds of Scotland are, remember the Duke in Downton Abbey? They're like that level, maybe a little bit lower, but major landowners, lairds. It's a different system in Scotland than it is in England, so it was very convoluted. I don't know. So you're talking about the laird. Well, I don't know, because I don't know. We have to go back to the laird later. Oh, don't forget that in Scotland there's Rosslyn Castle. It's not a castle. Incorrect. They call it it's like a castle but a small church chapel. Rosslyn Chapel. Because it's very important in those Tom Clancy books about the Illuminati, so we're going to go back and link that in there. So go and read the Wikipedia or pictures of that. We want to talk about the Tor, Glastonbury Tor, because it has got to be freed, because Amanda Lawrence turned dark today. We've been following her a long time from the Tor, but today she broadcast God Save the Queen from the Tor. And that is, so I don't know what else to tell you. So if you've been following her, I don't know. I just, we're vetting everyone, because we're not going to have Queen Elizabeth, because everything horrible can't happen under her reign. So we're going to have to get interregnum, which means we've got to bring back, who was that guy who brought the English Revolution, where they get rid of the monarchy for a while. So that has to happen. So. Well, it would be me. A Bishop of Thunder Bay. That's my spiritual title. One of them. I got other ones, but yeah, I don't know. Let me play. I know you think I'm, got psychosis and whatever, but just imagine that I'm telling you a story. So yeah, as my position as Bishop of Thunder Bay, I'll hold the crown. So they have to give me the keys to the London Tower, and then I'm going to have a hoity-toity, place, because I'm going to have to rule as the Pope monarch. No, well, something like that. Oh dear, this is becoming very difficult. Um, well, I've got to be on Carnaby Street, close to the Duck pub. It's something and Duck or Duck and Dawn or something like that. One of those places. It's got to be close with there, walking distance, and I need an office there on Carnaby Street. And then I'm going to need some other retail storefronts. One is going to be known as Wild Jeans, WILDE, and then jeans. They can get creative how they want to spell that. Oh my God, look at this. Horcrux just showed up because they're coming out of the woodwork. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Because this is what's going on. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, we're going to capture this Horcrux. It's a beetle bug. So there it is. And, so these are Horcruxes from, I've been getting Horcruxes. Oh my goodness. My car was a I don't know, I just had to flush that guy. So there he is. Oh no, oh. Okay, we're having trouble. It's not particular. It's just that this is some. But anyways, you need to understand this because this is. I have to flood it up here. Okay, so the Horcruxes are that quite often insects show up at inopportune times, and we know they're Horcruxes, just like the ones that. So even the whole thing drained, and it's really cloggy. No, I killed that beetle when I squished it. Yeah. Do you want me to wash my hands on it? Beeson is very, he's like Mr. Jaggers in, it's not Crime and Punishment, it's the other one. And that's for Skalnikov, Raskolnikov, Crime and Punishment. Now the other one, the Dickens, yes, that's right, A Great Expectations. Pip. Miss Havisham's Cake is actually, it's on the 214 Hutch space station. The original, yes, it is. Because guess who got it? Now it's going to be one of two people, and it's not the first one, but they are first in line to they want to commission a sale because they just want to broker the deal. But it's Havisham's Cake, and it's never going to leave there. But the Ferengi don't even know about it yet, because if they're watching here, the Ferengi are going to go nuts because they love treasures. My dog Poop. Milo Poop. Milo the dog. Yeah, well, we used to bag it in Vancouver. Every poop got bagged, hermetically sealed in one of those poop bags, and then they all got sent to the Surrey dump, which was in the big bog out there. So all that stuff from Milo is considered at least as valuable, more valuable. There's far less of it than there is of all the latinum. Because Milo poop, because Milo Comac, he's an admiral with the Galactic Federation of Light. Milo, my dog, is Milo Comac, so he's Admiral Comac. Now there's an Admiral Comac, his predecessor in the Federation and somewhere in the original Star Trek. Anyways, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, well the Galactic Federation of Light is made up of our pets that went to the afterlife. Well, we always knew that the Rainbow Bridge was going to connect us up with the afterlife realm, and we learned that from the Celestine Prophecy book. And if you go to Celestine Vision on the internet website and you look at the Celestine Insights, one of them right there is uniting of this realm with the afterlife realm, where our loved pets are. So that's what they are, the Galactic Federation of Light. All the pets from planet Earth that are on that side, I guess, I don't know. That's what they are. And, well, do you remember Will B. Daniels from the shaggy dog and the shaggy DA. Well, those dogs can change into people because they can, because they're magical dogs. Because they have unicorn magic and leprechaun magic and all kinds of other magics. Because they're gonna save us. Because we hate one another so much, humans, and we can't let go of our hate because as soon as we let go of our hate, then some other human goes and reactivates it and triggers it. Because we hate so many people, and so many people are just so triggering in so many ways. So because that's what in the end, every human I ever met always said, I love my pet more than I love my mother and my grandmother and everybody else. I love my pet, and I can't stand the rest of you people. So, so that's just what it is. So it's just that they know that we need somebody that we trust, and we trust our pets and our dearly departed pets. We trust them more than we trust anybody else. We'll do things for our pets that we will never do for a human, because we will, because they love us. So I'm back to Fat Tony Salerno. Okay, so it's just that King Clancy has, because Fat Tony has already expressed when he wanted to become the godfather of Maggie, and then he had to give her back because Marge was just freaking out. And Fat Tony really needs somebody with that kind of love that he was getting from Maggie. So, the Galactic Federation has got to help out people like Fat Tony who have no one that can love them. And then the most horrible things are the ISBs that are on the wall. Because on Stuart Wild's corpus of information, it might be on his stuartwild.com, he talked about this thing called brains, BRANES, and massive brains full of just like a concrete wall with people that are attached to them. They're super glued to a wall. Now, these are not good people. These are the worst. Adolf Hitler class, Joseph Stalin class, Pol Pot, Idi Amin, Colonel Green from Star Trek, the guy from Conscious of the King on Star Trek. So in other words, people who did genocides on other worlds, other realms. Well, it's just because that Stuart Wild told us that he was taken there to the wall, and that's where those most horrific Joseph Mengele, all kinds of horrible people, Jack the Ripper, Charles Manson, if he was dead, horrible slave owners, all kinds of just people, horrible people. Because the ISBs are not the minds that those people were using in those days. Am I trying to get them off the hook? We're trying to make a case, as a lawyer, try to make a case for them. Well, because we need to put them on the table so they're not forgotten about. Because human compassion has got to look at this with advanced spiritual knowledge, and then I don't know what else to tell you, because that just has to be put on the table. Because if we're going to talk about the best of the best, we also need to talk about the worst of the worst. And then we don't want to focus all of our attention on those people, because it might be a lot of other people that are just feeling like, well, what about me? What about me? Because there was the terrorist in Canada who was granted millions of dollars. Well, he was in Afghanistan, where the 15-year-old guy, Omar Khadr, who got millions of dollars from, it was probably Justin Trudeau, when the American forces considered him a terrorist in Afghanistan. But it's probably a fake news story. But all the same, when people heard about that, they felt like, well, if you're going to get this guy so much money, I work and work and work and work and work and work, and no one gives me millions of dollars. I don't know. Anyways, but because the devils want to bring up the devils, because they always bring up the devils. Anyways, we can't forget about the devils. We can't. Because, well, I don't know what else to tell you because it's not up to me. Well, it's up to, I don't know. Anyways, it's on the table. And the reason it's brought up is because the thought of that the conscious awareness that was part and parcel of that person, how much does the conscious awareness have control of the mind that does the directing of the body to do horrible, horrible things? Well, we're not getting any verbiage other than, in my experience, with all the remote neural monitoring, it does seem like they can separate mind from pure awareness, but it's a torture device. I don't know what else to tell you because there's no verb on it. Because all those horrible, horrible people, we looked at them before and we decided that we never wanted to bring back the evil emperor again. Because we learned that in Star Wars, but that was, the Hollywood version. They're Luciferian, and in the end, I don't know, they always have a horrible ending for somebody. Somebody's always been blackballed. And as somebody who's been blackballed by the Freemason my whole life, I don't know, because the Buddhist is going to say, well, something attaches that person's is-be to one life to the next. I don't know. I don't have an opinion on it. Just call me, the scribe for the devils. Well, if they don't speak up for themselves, then no one's going to speak up for them. And so many of you refuse to speak up for yourself. So let that be a lesson for you. If you don't speak up, how are we going to know what your dream is? The food of the day is this one. Hopefully you can read that. I can't. Anyways, it's pineapple, and in French it's that spelling. And so, if you want to have a tidbit or two, because it's the food right now that we're recommending people eat. And, well, I tried using my golf tee, and it's not going to work. So what we've been using is, what do you call this stuff? Leg jump. So if you're doing like spell work or run or whatever, well, that's one of the ones that I use. Well, because it's too hard to, fight a warlock. It is. It's too hard to fight a warlock. But, if I'm going to give you some, well, because some people are still like, well, give me something to try anyways. And, give me something to help. Because I'm the warlock and I claim that I can't be beaten. So, that's why I already gave people my astrological profile. And it's on Jesus Burrows, but you have to go scroll down for it. But I had that out there. So you have to go look, because I'm not going to do all the homework for you, because then it's too easy for you. So only those students that actually go look for that will get the astrological data. But you must remember, the tarot card readers say that the tarot cards are not, they say it's for your damn self. And your damn self is your ego. And if you're an ego-driven person, that is somebody who is under 540 on the scale of human consciousness, then that's your damn self, and that's what the tarot card reader will tell you about. And she says that, the tarot cards don't work for divinities, and that is people who, well, I don't know exactly. I don't know if it's right at 540. It might be 600. Let's go with 600 in order to get your angel wings, because that's what we heard from David R. Hawkins of Consciousness Research. 600, you get your angel wings, and you're known as a spiritual title of being a perfect. So Mahatma Gandhi, spiritual leader of India, Mahatma was his spiritual title. It wasn't great leader, Beeson and the Devil is making a joke. No, but it was Mohandas Gandhi, was his name as far as we know, and Mahatma, like great leader, he says, but it's like Kim Jong-un, blah, 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 blah. I don't know too many people, we don't watch the TV around here. Okay, so Mahatma is a spiritual title, and, well, I don't know, there's other ones. Roshi, something to do with Japan, I'm not sure for sure. And then there's, Mother Superior dropped the bomb, Mother Superior dropped the bomb. It was the Beatles' Tom. Tales of the Tom Tom by someone named Wendigo. And, there's always so many mysteries for me about, my dealings with Wendigo spirits. Well, north of International Falls, Minnesota, Fort Francis, Ontario, because I don't even know. It was the strangest experience, but it involved Wendigo spirits and the U.S.-Canadian border and automatic weaponry there, super advanced weaponry. It wasn't bullets, but maybe it was that directed energy weapon kind of things. Well, yeah, I don't know. It was a strange affair, and to this point, I don't know. I don't have a lot of words because it's being just tantalizing, giving you that, I have had a lot of supernatural, because if you're dealing with Wendigo spirits, we would say that's something from the TV show Supernatural. And I have been on that show, Supernatural, as an extra, at least 2 times. And they haven't given me a paycheck for being a principal actor. But that was the very first acting job that I had in Vancouver, known as Hollywood North, Vancouver, Canada. Well, just because I'm the Warlock now. Okay, so, well, if you're the Warlock, then, you can't be beat. You're the Highlander, right? So, why keep any secrets? Militarily, because keeping secrets is, I don't know. Otherwise, if you want to go and look at my astrology, you can go to zzRawls on YouTube, and you can go and see, and then you can go look at my birth chart. And if you run one, then maybe you can give me a report on what it means, because I did look at the automatic computer ones online, and in the end, I always found them fascinating. I really did. Does it say there that I'm a Warlock? I don't know. But if somebody's good at that, then they want to go and put a little, like a blurb underneath here in the comments, that would be awesome. I noticed that, no, I'm not going to tell you anything about that. And what are we doing here? Well, I don't know. This is that stuff. Oh, okay, so we're going back to Fat Tony Salerno and King Clancy Wiggum. Well, I don't know. King Clancy is the terrorist. I don't know. What did Jesus do with terrorists? Well, it's just the story of Baird T. Spalding, Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East. And there's about 6 volumes, 7 volumes of that. Marina Del Rey, California, and Doug DeVores, DEVORRS, or maybe one R-S. Well, Marina Del Rey, living in Marina Del Rey, man, you better get a job. Living in the sun and the sea in Marina Del Rey. Mark Jordan song, and he does a much better, because I don't feel like I'm singing, but I'm out of tune because the devils have been fucking with my everything. I just don't sound good to my own ears. I don't think it sounds good, but if you go and you find on YouTube Mark Jordan, M-A-R-C, Jordan, J-O-R-D-A-N, because it's a good song. Anyways, that's where the publishing company, Divorce Publishing, is, and that's where Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East apparently was published. And in that book, somewhere along the line at the Tao Temple, T-A-U Temple, the travelers who are not from India, but they go to India and Tibet, Mongolia, and places like that, they do at the Tao Temple meet Jesus the Christ, the original one, and his entourage, which includes Pontius Pilate, who, well, he handed him over to Herod Antipas, and Herod Antipas said, but you're going to be crucified. So, they always say, in whatever that Bible thing is, that church, crucified by, something by Pontius Pilate. He's in the Apostles' Creed. Pontius Pilate is named in the Apostles' Creed. So, primary, well, I don't know if you consider him a devil or not, because in those days, if the collective consciousness was at 90, well, they would be horrible devils all the time. Anyways, in this book, Jesus puts his arm around Pontius Pilate, who basically condemned him to death. And basically, yeah, he did. It suffered under Pontius Pilate is what it says in the Apostles' Creed, which is, I believe in blah, 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 and it's all blocked for me, but we didn't learn it at Sunday school, as I remember. And, well, in this book, Jesus explains that, he calls him Dear Pilate. And he was all forgiven by Jesus, Pontius Pilate. Well, that's what it says. And in that book, they stand together as ascended masters, because in the end, we're supposed to forgive sinners 77 times 707, 777 times. And then what happens? Well, once you turn over the devil's keys to God, then it's all in God's hands. So, in the end, to save your own soul, you got to let God deal with all the worst of the worst. And then you got to realize that if the worst of the worst, there's at least something on the table that can be considered by God. As what we want to say about it, and we just say, well, let he who hath no sin cast the first stone. But what about all those devils in the lake of fire? And I keep wanting to send these devils to the lake of fire. Well, if you were in the shamanic tradition of, say, the Yaqui shaman Don Juan Matus, Carlos Castaneda was written up in the Luciferian magazine Henry Luce. It's really what the publisher, Lucifer, Henry Luce. They also use that in The Devil's Advocate and Louis Cypher is what his name was there. So I don't know. I don't know. And then we have to mention Homunculus from the Red Lion novel. It's not a novel, it's her autobiography, multiple lifetime autobiography by Maria Zertzes, Zertes, something like that. The Red Lion. Homunculus was a devil. Quite a horrible devil. As far as we can remember. Armus, Armus, the horrible devil that bedeviled the starship. Which one was the Enterprise? The second series, Next Generation. The one that killed Lieutenant Yar, Bing Crosby's daughter. Well, I've dealt with that style of devil. I can't have an Armus. So it would have to be healed of whatever it is. And I don't know anything about how to do it, only that it would have to be in the spirit's hand. Because that's what Don Juan Matus would say. I know in the Don Juan Matus stuff, he doesn't talk about karma. No. They're sorcerers, and they do have, they play, seems like more than practical jokes. In other words, they do Highlander duels. Is it painful what they do to one another? It doesn't seem to be. Is it stuff that you could let it go? I suppose if you were an apprentice to Don Juan Matus's style of people, then what I've gone through with this horrible demonic attack, well, it's just that I don't do any sorcery. Because as a silent witness, I don't have volition. Rumpelstiltskin took my... Oh, that's who it is. Rumpelstiltskin has got Miss Havisham's cake. Because, as Mr. Gold, he had the pawn shop with all of the stuff that you ever wanted. And Havisham's cake, they've got it at the hutch. It's the 214 is the numerical code for it. And as far as Fat Tony Salerno, well, it was just that, if King Clancy was really working with Inspector Luger, because they had to do something outside of the FBI and the CIA and the NSA and Homeland Security, because they had to have an independent police force, because they didn't trust all those other ones, and they never did. And they said, well, if there was 9/11 in U.S. soil, then Clancy said, well, I'm going to sign on. Well, because he wants to, well, in those days he was, pretty backhanded. He's trying to make, black market deals or whatever. But those deals, connected Clancy, because everyone knows he's a dirty cop. So he is connected up, just like Gus Fring on Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. He seems to be a legitimate businessman, but behind the scenes he's also doing all the drug running. Well, I don't know, because even in the, they say it was Chris Carter's TV show. I never got paid, Chris, for this endorsement. And if I'm going to be the only 5D person on the planet, then you can all fuck off. Seriously, because if I'm going to give everything to everybody else and everybody gives me jack shit, then how am I supposed to live? And I'm on the Running Man game. And Schwarzenegger, did he get paid for doing Running Man? Well, because if I'm an ISB, then, I deserve ISB rights. Okay, I got nothing else to tell you. If you're perplexed, then, you're not belong here. Okay, what else? What is? Okay, so what was for the deal for, I don't know, well, because it was already taken and given away. Anyway, because it was something, to help get incorrigible devils. The Highwayman song is a horrible song with Willie Nelson's part about, about the highwaymen raping passers-by and just being proud of their conquests that way. Because it's a horrific story that, from the perspective of the rapist. And that song is, I don't know, it's like in a country song, I guess it belongs in a country song. Because it's kind of, I don't know, well, you listen to it, it's disturbing. Maybe you never heard that part before. A lot of these songs, like Casey and the Sunshine Band, it's really nasty. Because it's, I'm your boogeyman, that's what I am, get up and boogie. Because the boogie was what they used to talk about, like get up and dance. Boogie was, Dr. Johnny Fever on WKRP in Cincinnati would say it like boogie, or booger. He wasn't allowed to say booger. That's enough. Well, you're starting to get it. Okay, it's just that the Buddhist is going to tell you, in order to reach higher states of consciousness, you must release all of your attachments. And if you're attached to eternal punishment for evildoers, then you're attached. And you're karmically tied to other people who are the worst people, the worst people. Why would you want to be karmically attached to Adolf Hitler? By saying that, he must be punished forever and ever and ever in the lake of fire. If you're Roman Catholic, for example. Because the Buddhists are going to tell you that is not up to you. That is up to God. And some Buddhists are not going to talk about God because they say God, Buddha wouldn't talk about God because it's too impossible to talk about God. But he talked about, coming to the higher states of consciousness and releasing attachments from the Buddha means you have to let go. If you're a Catholic and that's what you feel, well then you read about it in the book and that's what God does. And it's not your job to, or is it? Because, in the end, like at the Roshi, if the Roshi is not willing to be Buffy the Vampire Slayer, then, then you're going to have rogue Roshis that have got spiritual superpowers that could be using it for bad purposes. And, those people have got to be disciplined by their spiritual lineage. Because if they're not, then they become what we've been eating here today. Here, we got the French. And it's ananas. So, in English, pineapple tidbits. But we're in Canada, so it's bilingual labels. So the ananas is the Hawaiian word for an evil sorcerer. A kahuna ana ana. And I've experienced that. Yes. And the expectation is that the spiritual lineage disciplines the person. But if the whole lineage is dark, if they're all Sith, well, then somebody else's lineage has got to go and fight that goddamn Sith. I don't know, because you're trying to get me to give you rules of thumb on what I do, and I don't do anything. I don't. I'm an ISB. Which is, I don't know, I can't even say I'm not, because that's somebody else telling me that. The devils. In the end, I don't know what else to tell you, because you're asking me to do God's job on behalf of Bob. Because as the voice for Bob, I'm not Bob. And Bob is going to say, I don't do that. I turned over my keys to judging to God. Because I surrendered my ego to God. So Bob would say it's in the hands of God. And if God had somebody to be Buffy the Vampire Slayer, then that would be up to God to find that person and arrange that person to do that. Because Claridad Central is what we use here, which is simply always saying, if we get in trouble where somebody has done something horrible, or something really good, because sometimes people really do something good for virtue signaling, or they do something good and then they ruin it by, like that we people that are friends, the Kielburgers, friends of Trudeau. I mean, seriously, it's just snarky is what the devils are saying. I had to kill Edith Prim, the devil. How did I do it? Well, one day the devils made me pick up this ball. It was in the parking lot. And we were walking by and they were doing demonic attack on me. And we walked by and they saw this kid's ball. And I walked by because I didn't want to pick it up. Well, the body walked by and didn't pick it up. The devil said, no, we want that. So I went over and there's the ball. So what they did is they used this image of the pink one here. And I've done this video before. The devils are getting bored, so they're getting me to do the same thing over and over again. Anyways, this one here, this pink one, it would be similar to the famous pink lady, friends with Voldemort, the one that tortures Harry Potter, Dolores Umbridge. So this one knew Dolores Umbridge, and she knew to be just as cruel as Dolores Umbridge. And so what happened with the virtual remote monitoring software was this image was turned into a AI bot that was used against me in the electronic warfare that's done against me. So this one, the AI and the people named this one. What did I name her? Well, it was all given one way or another. Because Claridad Central says that even everything is run by God, based upon, I don't know, because it's a horrible kind of God that puts me through all this shit, because I don't feel loved by the God that I've been living here under for 57 years. I don't feel loved. But Bob, as silent witness, well, it's just, you don't want to have these devils, and if you can kill them off, well, did it make the devils go? No, because they've got so many heads as a hydra. But this particular devil, I'm still bedeviled. But this particular devil, one day when she was attacking me, horrible, unbelievable. What did I use? Well, I think it was the golf tee. I took my golf tee. Because she was flying around and she was being a vicious, violent shit thing in the virtual reality that's imposed upon me. So she's a real character in the AI, but this is the only thing I got of her as a picture of her. So, well, the body, not me, because I don't know how do I ever explain the silent witness, but the body went over and it hit Edith Prim here, the devil, right there, and well, she was flying around in the virtual reality around me. Horrible goddamn thing, unbelievable. And anyway, the body went over and just went over like that with this, and like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, this would be considered her what? Voodoo doll? Well, body break hit her here, and that was the end of that demon. She died instantly, just like in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Now, I don't know, we got so many other things that we're going on. What else were we talking about? Well, we're talking about Eid the Rat. Eid the Rat was another one of these virtual reality characters in the inverted system known as Luciferian philosophy, which is take good things and turn them into valued things that are of a negative nature. So this was a child's toy ball, and that was turned into a demonic toy. Anyways, then Edith Prim. Prim is a name for a place where the Todash demons live, we think anyways, in the Dark Tower books by Stephen King. And Edith of the Prim, because Ed the Rat didn't want to be, originally was a different name, and then we started calling it Ed, because it was being a little bitch, so we started kind of calling the male character a female. And then she decided, okay, well, I don't know, there's too many other movies. They're going to give us that one. And then Ed went to become Edith Prim. That was her new female name, and she assumed the character. So she just transformed from being a blue electronic devil to being the pink one. Edith Prim. The horrible. Anyways, Edith as a demon was hit and disappeared and hasn't been seen for weeks. So we're told that she's dead. And now we get a pink energy that comes, and it's Edith. Because Edith is now a beautiful pink energy, beautiful feel. They don't want to call her an angel because they don't want to use that word, but just beautiful pink. It's lovely. And she doesn't want to be called Edith Prim because it reminds her of what she used to be. But I don't know what else you're going to call her, because we call her Mrs. Pink, or the Pink Angel, or whatever. Even Clancy Wiggum, the devil, considers her to be his angel. He's a very strange man. So it's just that I don't know where else are we going to go. Well, we had all those people on the wall and in the lake of fire and stuff. I don't know, because we got so many things that we cover in the day, and in the end we were trying to get Fat Tony help, because he couldn't get love for Maggie, and even Marge Simpson said, you can't. So we were going to try and figure out how we get Fat Tony the Jesus thing. Because if Pilate, who must have condemned a lot more people than just Jesus to crucifixion, there was a huge number of people crucified. That was a regular thing. So, I mean, if you're going to be Jesus, well, it's not biblical story. It's based upon the Bible, Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East. But then again, most people, I don't know, what are you going to tell me? Because it has to be brought up that Jesus does stand at the Tao Temple around the year 1905 with Pontius Pilate, the person that arranged for him to go through the crucifixion from the Roman Empire. So, if I'm not attacked, it doesn't even come into mind what goes on with criminals. Except if I'm walking down the street and I see some people that, well, it's just what I'm given to feel, because I don't even get my own emotions in anymore. Because this high-tech machine hijacks my ability to sense things through the body, because it hijacks the body. It's a horrible thing. So did we get Fat Tony off? Well, we were just trying to say something in the backstory that Clancy and Inspector Luger, who also tortures me, just because he's James Gregory and he tortured people in Star Trek the original series as a guest doctor, when they met other crazy people that were criminally insane, like Captain Garth, etc., Marta, and they tell all right, because they were held in a penal colony in a dome. I don't know. Now, Magenta Pixie has got something called a discombobulate. And maybe the discombobulate can, I don't know, clean up these. Because the experiencer, if the experiencer is not in charge of the mind, and right now I'm totally disconnected from the mind. As the silent witness, and I'm not the only person, many light workers say it's like watching a movie because everything happens automatically around you, including the horrible tortures. Because when you raise your consciousness, that's what you get. You get to be the silent witness. Is it better or worse? It's different. But in this war situation where we've got Armageddon going on, I can't tell you because too much demonic attack for me to tell you what's normal for this particular state of affairs. I don't know, every once in a while I am given to play on behalf of compassion because Magenta Pixies discombobulate, maybe something to do with the Great Central Sun and a bunch of stuff that I know nothing about. But if you go to Magenta Pixie on YouTube, she talks about it there. She has very interesting stories. What would Jesus do? Well, according to that story, Jesus put his arm around Pilate, and they appeared together as ascended masters, glowing with halo. There was also another story from Buddhist. No, it was. I'm sorry, they were getting all this verbalage, that bullshit. Don't do that, please. Don't keep blah 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 blah. This is not going well now. Anyways, there was an Osho transformation tarot card where there's a story of one of the Zen. I don't know. He was a Buddhist guy, and he talked to a horrible mass murderer who wore a garland of, maybe they were fingers of people that he'd beheaded. And this guy went in and somehow converted this monster to Buddhism. So if I could convert, not me, Bobby Burrows, and not the silent witness, but I, which would be, why did you give me that then? Because capital I in the Joel Goldsmith spiritual teachings refers to God. And little I is what my frenemy Trevor Miller calls your small self, or your personality, which may have a horrible egoic attachment to it. Is that too many words? Well, I understand it. The devils understand it. If you're not on our level of understanding metaphysics, then you're not part of the Luciferian collective. And they're collecting. Okay, so what else does that mean? With Don Juan Matos's people. Now don't forget that was published by Henry Luce, who, Luciferian. Perhaps or perhaps not. But, they do have their ongoing appearances, manifestations into one another's realities. Well, I think that they like to cross-pollinate their apprentices with other masters, because we're told that one, like La Catalina, she's a senior witch, and she's supposed to be like Endora from Bewitched. I don't know about Witch Hazel. There's too many different things to talk about Witch Hazel from Bugs Bunny, because she comes to see me sometimes. She does fly by, but it's usually a cutscene. She doesn't talk to me. A cutscene is just something that they could have made at like Technicolor that supplies Google with cutscenes that they like to use in the broadcasts and the torture machines that they make. I really have to remember to tell you that again and again, it is the devils that continue to say Scott Dougal from Google is the director of Google from Thunder Bay, who is my frenemy, because I knew him a long time ago and still knows who I am. And my sister is the relationship partner of his brother Hector, because it is the Hatfields and the McCoys. No, it's and it's not one man army. No. Because I'm a light worker on a huge, but we're not a team though. Well, because we don't know one another. We do everything independent. Some do group things. I don't know. Are you trying to get military information from me? And I know jack shit as Bob. But capital I is also used in the Ihaliakala Hulan teachings on Ho'oponopono, and capital I is used there as well to refer to God, or perhaps you might use the word the divinity. Then there's the Coleridge poem. It's a poem by Samuel Taylor Coleridge about somebody falls asleep, has a dream, and dreams about a flower. And then they wake up and they look down, and right there on their bed where they're sleeping, right there, is a physical flower from the dream. I don't know the dream-like nature of reality. I don't know. They talked about the boys from Brazil, clones of Hitler, and the clones of Hitler didn't take to the Hitler personality. They grew up in a different. It was an argument, nature versus nurture. I don't know. In the end, me as Bob will not decide anything because, it's just permanent state of meditation, and the body is freed from me. The personality, enslaving it by having what used to be my monkey mind tell it, it's 5 o'clock and we gotta go eat. Because when you do the Matt Kahn teachings on stopping the internal conflict, then you learn to let go of control of your body, because you really enslaved your body when you finally really study your body and your mind through meditation and gifts from the Spirit about explaining things. So in the end, Claridad Central simply means that even when things are going on, it's like a great play in consciousness, and we always give credit back to the Spirit, because the Spirit runs the whole shit show, and that way I don't get the karma of all this shit. I don't have any verbiage on that one. That's another one to put on the table. But I don't know. I can't understand it. As Bob, it's too many things. And these are too many different spiritual teachings that I've been through. And if you throw up your hands and you're going to look at me and say, after you studied all this stuff, you don't know. I know all kinds of stuff. I do. I can ask a million questions. I can give you a million answers, and it's stupid. Because it's what we call blue pill banter. Because it's for your monkey mind. And I still do talk about it because monkey mind likes that stuff. But in the end, you're not doing anything with your monkey mind except causing horrible problems by getting into karmic things that you shouldn't be getting into. Because you've still got the devil's keys. And the devil's keys are your ability to say no to what God wants for you. And you're so blocked by, your monkey mind that you don't even have a clue. And those of you who eat meat, is like, when I go right through, you roll your eyes and you go back to eating another McDonald's burger. And, I don't know.